there's a huge hypocrisy here given Catherine, Catherine suffering from cancer was hauled over the coals, especially in the American mainstream media. Yet Meghan sort of posts these pictures which all appear to be artificially altered. The actual pictures of the children, which are always so weird. And I mean, the thing is, this could be a total coincidence. Of course it could be. But my point is that it is Meghan who is encouraging this speculation about the identity of her own daughter. That's what I find creepy.
Something has genuinely changed in how this story is being told. And you can feel it in the specific sharpness of the questions now being asked publicly, in the deliberate and pointed quality of the silence coming from Meghan's team whenever those questions land closest to something real. The mythology she spent years building with extraordinary care and extraordinary patience around her daughter Lilibet. The controlled mystery, the perfectly positioned glimpses of golden California living, the hidden face that was supposed to communicate maternal protection while simultaneously generating commercial intrigue. That mythology is visibly fracturing.
I thought, they had a terrible, terrible row after Meghan had gone to abroad to talk about never do this with your children, put them in front of a television. They had a massive, massive row. And I think this is Harry trying to make her feel better. And that's my view about it. And she would be very pleased, but she'll do this absolutely hideous thing of using an AI thing to have somebody look rather strange, because the face is very strange. It's not right. You can see it's not a natural strain.
And the person applying the most pressure to those fractures is not a tabloid journalist working from sources at 10 removes, is not an anonymous palace source with their own institutional agenda, is not some longtime Sussex adversary with a documented score to settle. It is Angela Levin, the woman who wrote Harry's authorized biography, who sat with him for months in genuine good faith, who listened to him with genuine attention, who believed in him with genuine investment, and who has now clearly and deliberately decided that the season for diplomatic language and carefully softened observations is finished.
The problem you've got here in a relationship with Meghan and Harry is this is a boy that was pretty much traumatized by media presence when he was little. He didn't really want any of this publicity. He was always attacking photographers. And she's someone, ever since she was on the red carpet, who's craved publicity.
Levin's statements about Meghan's conduct, about the Lilibet photographs, about the AI allegations surrounding those images, about Archie's systematic and accelerating disappearance from the Sussex public narrative, land with a completely different force than standard royal commentary precisely because they come from a position of real and earned knowledge. She is not reconstructing events from press releases. She is not speculating from the outside. She was inside. She had access that virtually nobody else in the world of royal commentary ever received, and what she is saying now cuts through every layer of the managed and meticulously assembled story Meghan has been constructing and reinforcing year by year. The timing of all this matters enormously, because this is not landing in a quiet news cycle where it can be absorbed gradually and managed carefully.
Actually, if she were just to post normal pictures like a normal woman, then everyone would be able to speak and talk about Lily normally, rather than this sort of internet hunt to find the real Lily, which actually is really horrible.
It is landing at the precise moment when the Sussex commercial operation is under the most visible and the most documented financial pressure it has faced since launch. When Harry's stated public values around children and social media exposure have been so completely contradicted by his own enthusiastic behavior that the people most inclined to defend him have run out of convincing language, and when Angela Levin has made a decision that is clear and irreversible to stop calibrating her words and to simply say what she actually believes is happening. And what she believes is happening is considerably darker than the Instagram version has ever suggested. What makes this particular moment feel qualitatively different from the relentless cycle of Sussex controversy that has characterized the past several years is the specific convergence of multiple simultaneous failures. The brand is struggling against documented commercial reality. The The photographs are generating questions whose persistence reflects genuine public concern rather than manufactured outrage.
Look at his face, and he can't do it because he still loves her, or, you know, whatever his reason is. He doesn't want to say, whoops, I made a big mistake. You see, all those are not smiling, and she can manipulate him. And I feel that that's what she's done.
Angela Levin is speaking with a bluntness that has no precedent in her previous public commentary. And Harry's spectacular contradiction of his own loudly stated principles on children's social media exposure is now so visible and so specific that it has become impossible to frame as nuance or evolution. These are not separate stories happening to coincide. They are feeding directly into each other, each one making the others more credible, each one making the overall picture harder to manage or reframe. And Meghan Markle, whose specific and considerable genius has always been narrative control, appears at this particular moment to have no answer that actually works for any of it. The birthday photographs are where this chapter opens most specifically and where the clearest evidence of genuine panic first becomes visible. Lilibet turned 5, and Meghan marked the occasion in exactly the way she marks every significant moment now. A carefully assembled social media presentation, warm and intimate-looking snapshots, soft and flattering California light, the consistent suggestion of a life of effortless beauty being generously and vulnerably shared with a world that has, in Meghan's own repeated telling, treated her so profoundly and so specifically unfairly.
She has kept on and on and on and on. She has made him hate his family. She's made him that he's got bad mental health. And actually, you can do that. You can have a person in your life who tries to drown you and make everything awful. And she hasn't tried to make him better.
The world did not respond with the warmth and gratitude the presentation was designed to generate. It responded with questions, pointed, specific, technical questions that refuse to fade the way that previous cycles of Sussex controversy have faded. Because when people examined those photographs, and people examined Sussex content with the kind of forensic attention that Meghan's own strategy of controlled mystery has specifically trained them to apply, something did not read as real. The child's face, concealed as always behind carefully positioned hair, had a quality that distinguished it from natural photography in ways that observers with visual literacy immediately registered. Proportions that were slightly incorrect, surface texture that was slightly wrong, a smoothness that is characteristic of digital generation rather than the genuine irregularity of a candid family moment. Investigative writer Paula Froelich did something specific and documented with those images. She placed them alongside photographs from a California children's clothing brand called Little Olives that had launched in roughly the same period Meghan was building the As Ever brand.
I said, he's in a rush to make his mark and seems to treat life as a race too. He explained to me, I want to make something of my life. I now feel there is just a smallish window when people are interested in me before Prince George take over, and I've got to make the most of it. Now then, tell me, that happened 10 years ago, right? Now, if he can't think of a way to do something better over 10 years, I've got no sympathy for him.
The visual resemblance between the children in both sets of images was striking in ways that went well beyond the similarities you would expect from two Californian lifestyle brands operating in the same aesthetic space. Then, Froelich ran the launch copy from both brands through Google's Gemini AI and received a result that was stark and specific. The As Ever text was functionally identical to the Little Olives copy. Same structural framework, same formula, different nouns inserted to fit the royal branding context. And that verdict came from an analytical tool with no stake in the outcome and no relationship to any royal controversy, which is precisely what makes it so difficult for Meghan's team to dismiss with the usual accusations of motivated hostility. Lilibet's 5th birthday should have been exactly what birthdays are supposed to be: a mother celebrating her child with genuine pride and genuine love. Images shared because the moment was joyful and the impulse was natural.
She doesn't give a damn about him, does she? Because he's not going to make her the money.
And he's not in it. I mean, what does he feel? He's 7. Well, there it is now, but that's an old photo. But, to say that to a 7-year-old, push him out because she doesn't feel the same about him as she does about Lilith for gaining money. It's just horrible, isn't it? Really horrible.
The fact that it has instead become the center of a global debate about AI image generation and brand copy manipulation is not something that happened to Meghan. Every choice that produced that specific outcome was made by Meghan. Could the resemblances and structural similarities all be coincidental? Theoretically, yes. California has an abundance of women launching lifestyle brands with overlapping aesthetics. But Meghan has already been documented using AI manipulation in her imagery before. That is not allegation. That is confirmed fact. And the mystery surrounding Lilibet's face is entirely and specifically a mystery of Meghan's own deliberate construction. Nobody demanded it. Nobody imposed it. She built it herself, image by image, year by year, with deliberate consistency. And having built it, she must now live inside everything that construction has produced, including the deeply uncomfortable public questions about whether the face she is hiding is even the face her daughter actually has.
No one can take Meghan into the palace, absolutely not, no chance. And he would never, ever upset her. 100 times. You see them when they were away in Australia, they look at each other very nicely, they have whispers, they make each other laugh. They're incredibly easy together.
Angela Levin makes the core observation with a simplicity that is more devastating than any complicated argument could be. If she were just to post normal pictures like a normal woman, then everyone would be able to speak and talk about Lily normally, rather than this sort of internet hunt to find the real Lily, which actually is really horrible. That is it. That is the entire architecture of the problem in 2 sentences. The global hunt for Lilibet's real face is not something the media created and imposed on a reluctant family. It is the entirely predictable and entirely foreseeable consequence of a mother who calculated that controlled mystery generated more commercial and narrative value than ordinary transparency. The mystery is the product, and the people now asking the most uncomfortable questions about it are doing exactly what the product was designed to make them do. And Meghan has maintained throughout all of this, with composure that is itself something to examine, that every single choice she makes is fundamentally about protecting her daughter. That protection framing has been the load-bearing wall of her public identity since the earliest days of her relationship with Harry. It is almost impervious to challenge, because nobody argues against a mother protecting her child. The moral position is essentially unassailable. Frame your choices around it, and suddenly every evasion becomes dignity, every refusal becomes principle, every concealment becomes maternal love. It was a genuinely sophisticated construction, and it held for considerably longer than many observers expected.
You can't actually tell somebody this, to write a biography. In 2017, that's when I wrote that, and you're still getting nowhere by 2026. Wouldn't you be ashamed of yourself not saying that with like a long moan? I was furious reading it.
Angela Levin is dismantling it now, not through emotional argument, not through raised voices or outrage, but through the far more effective mechanism of specificity. She knows the timeline. She knows what Harry was like before Meghan and what he has become since, and the comparison does not favor the current version in any dimension. Her authority here is genuine and earned. She was there before Meghan existed in Harry's life. She sat with him when he was, in meaningful and real ways, still himself, carrying genuine ambition to do something worthwhile, genuine warmth in his interactions, genuine potential to build something that mattered. She watched all of that be dismantled slowly and methodically, and she is no longer willing to use careful language when she describes what she watched happen. Harry did not merely approve those photographs. According to sources who spoke to royal correspondent Rob Shooter, he enthusiastically endorsed them. The same Harry who stood on public platforms and condemned with apparent genuine conviction parents who put their children into the social media machine. The same man who spoke about protecting children from the specific cruelty of growing up in public view. That man is now not treating the Lilibet birthday campaign as a compromise he made reluctantly under spousal pressure. He is framing it as a celebration of family. That distinction, apparently, is what makes all the moral difference. There is a generous interpretation available. People change. Perspectives evolve. A father finds a more accommodating position over time.
Catherine, you can see, has helped make her husband, William, so much better. He knows what it's like being a father. He knows what it's like being a husband. He's learnt it. She's helped him. So you need, if you want a partner, to find someone who's going to help you in your life, not someone who's going to be negative and moan. She moans everything all the time.
Angela Levin does not find that interpretation convincing because she understands specifically how change happens in the Sussex household. It follows a consistent and documented pattern. Harry disagrees, Meghan talks, Harry comes around to understanding that Meghan was right. The pattern is consistent across every significant decision the couple has made together. In this specific case, Harry's discomfort was reportedly real, and his resistance was reportedly genuine. The contradiction between Meghan's public statements about protecting children from screens and her simultaneous commercial strategy of placing those children at the center of the brand was one he recognized and found uncomfortable. And then, as always, the discomfort faded. What is most striking about Harry's overall transformation is not any individual change, but how complete and how total the transformation has been. Family relationships abandoned, military friendships lost, charity work rooted in his mother's legacy surrendered. The sense of purpose and identity that came from being a prince with genuine public function, all of it gone. Every dimension of who he was before has been replaced or surrendered. And what has the replacement produced? A marriage that credible multiple accounts describe as being under serious and sustained strain. A commercial brand that is visibly struggling. A life in California that has produced, by every observable measure, a man who is visibly not at peace and privately knows it.
That's it. She is slightly frightened of Catherine because she's doing so many good things. But she's got to be very careful, and they don't really want to risk that. I think William is absolutely right. And if that's absolutely right, you stand by them non-stop, and you don't want someone who's really hideous, really rude, trying to destroy the royal family as well as the people in it.
The picture that emerges of Harry's current interior reality is of someone fundamentally lost. He has surrendered too much to return easily or painlessly. He has said too many specific and documented things about too many specific people who once loved him. He has burned too many bridges to cross them again without serious personal and institutional cost. And California, the promised land of freedom and authenticity that was presented as the destination worth all of those sacrifices, has not delivered what the advertising suggested. He is not free. He is not at peace. He is trapped. And the birthday photographs of his daughter that he so visibly and enthusiastically endorses are, in their quiet and specific way, the most concentrated evidence of exactly how completely that trap has closed. Levin, who knew the Harry that existed before all of this, captures it with a simplicity that cuts through everything. Look at his face, and he can't do it because he still loves her, or whatever his reason is. When someone with that specific level of access and that specific level of genuine investment in the man's well-being reaches the point of speaking this publicly and this plainly, it signals something real about the gravity of what is actually happening beneath the managed surface. Now to the development that deserves its own sustained attention. While the world has been focused on Lilibet, her face, her photographs, her birthday campaign, a 7-year-old boy has been quietly and consistently disappearing from the Sussex public story. Archie Harrison, the firstborn, the child whose arrival was positioned as the defining moment that made everything else make sense. The baby who was, in his mother's own passionate and public account, the specific reason they walked away from everything to build a better and freer life, is gone from the content, not occasionally absent in the way all children of public figures are sometimes absent. Gone. The Instagram posts, the brand imagery, the milestone content, all of it centers on Lilibet. Archie is simply not there. If the privacy argument were genuine and consistent, if protecting children from public exposure were truly the principle driving every decision, both children would be shielded with equivalent thoroughness. The protection would apply equally. Instead, we have a clear and documented selection: one child extensively featured, one child effectively invisible. And the variable that explains that selection is not parental love, which presumably applies equally to both children. It is commercial return. Lilibet, for reasons tied directly to her name, to the symbolism attached to it, to the late Queen's legacy, to the specifically charged emotional story of a Sussex daughter named for the monarch who tried so hard to hold everything together, generates more engagement, more interest, more return on the investment of public visibility. Archie at 7 apparently does not produce those equivalent returns, and so he has been quietly and systematically moved to the margin of his own family's public story. This is not an accusation coming from people hostile to the Sussexes. This is the specific assessment of Angela Levin, the woman who wrote the authorized biography, who sat in unguarded moments with Harry, who understood his genuine love for both his children before any of this commercial machinery was built around them. Archie is 7 now. He does not yet have the language to name what he is experiencing. But children feel imbalance with an accuracy that no amount of careful parenting can fully obscure. They feel when a sibling occupies the center and they occupy the edges. He will be 16. He will be 26. He will have full internet access and the ability to read everything that has been documented, debated, and published about his childhood. And the question of how he will feel, not about tabloids, not about media institutions, but about the specific choices his own mother made about how to value his public presence relative to his sisters, deserves a genuine and sustained pause before moving forward. The commercial context is not peripheral to any of this. It is the context within which every other element makes sense. The photographs, the AI allegations, the Archie question, none of it is occurring in isolation. It is all unfolding against the backdrop of a brand that is, by multiple credible accounts, in genuine and sustained commercial difficulty. As ever launched with enormous media coverage and Meghan's personal promise that this was the authentic expression of her true self. A woman of genuine taste, genuine warmth, genuine commitment to a life of beauty and simplicity. The products would carry that philosophy into people's homes. People would purchase the lifestyle along with the jam. The products are in warehouses. The numbers are not where the launch media attention would have predicted they would be. And Meghan's response to that gap has been one of the most revealing choices she has made in the brand's short history. She has handed the promotional face of as ever to Olivia McDowell, a minor influencer with a following in the hundreds of thousands and no significant wider profile. And McDowell is, by the consistent assessment of observers who have watched both women present the as ever range, better at it, more natural, more convincing, more effective at making the products seem desirable for a brand. Constructed entirely around the personal cachet and the specific glamour of a duchess, being demonstrably outperformed in your own promotional material by someone whose platform is a fraction of the size is not a minor operational embarrassment. It is a structural statement about what the brand was actually built on and how durable that foundation has proven to be. The Hello Magazine moment is the detail that illuminates how the managed media environment has functioned and what is now changing. When Hello approached actress Abigail Spencer about her friendship with Meghan, the interviewer stated on camera without apparent self-consciousness that they were there representing Hello Magazine with Meghan Markle, not covering her, not reporting on her, working with her. A media outlet publicly identifying itself as an operational arm of the Sussex PR apparatus, casually, on a red carpet, as though this were entirely unremarkable. It confirmed what many had suspected across years of watching uniformly glowing Sussex coverage appear without the critical engagement that genuine journalism would apply. Significant portions of that coverage were not journalism. They were contracted content delivery. And when that contract is operating effectively, birthday photograph campaigns get reported as authentic family moments rather than examined as commercial strategy. The reason the Lilibet photograph questions took so long to be asked loudly by mainstream outlets is not that nobody noticed the issues. The reason is that for an extended period, certain people were paid not to notice. But that environment is shifting. The questions now arriving are coming from Paula Froelich and Angela Levin, people with genuine investigative credentials and genuine earned knowledge, not people with manufactured hostility or institutional axes to grind. And questions asked publicly by credible voices do not disappear because a spokesperson declines to address them. They accumulate, they compound, they produce exactly what is now visible, a situation that lifestyle content and curated birthday photography cannot paper over. Step back and look at the full picture of what has actually materialized. A woman entered the royal family with genuine advantages on every dimension. Real talent, real ambition, genuine love from a genuinely popular prince, public goodwill that was not manufactured but organically extended. Every door was open, every possibility was available. And from all of that, what has been produced is a struggling commercial brand, a comprehensively burned set of personal and institutional relationships, a husband who cannot see or acknowledge his own transformation, a daughter who has been converted into a global mystery, and a son who has been made commercially inconvenient by his own mother's content decisions. Levin watches this with the specific and identifiable grief of someone who saw a completely different outcome and watched it be deliberately and consistently discarded. She heard Harry speak about the narrowing window, about the urgent necessity of building something meaningful while the world's attention was still available. That conversation happened more than a decade ago, and looking at where Harry actually is today, Levin is not simply sad about it. She is furious because the window did not close on him from outside. He handed it to someone else to climb through, and that someone else used it to sell condiments and conceal a child's face in a birthday photograph that the world has genuine documented reason to question. William and Catherine are meanwhile doing the genuinely unglamorous and genuinely difficult daily work of building a monarchy with the credibility and the substance to endure. George is 12, approaching Eton in September, a decision made through genuine parental deliberation, through visiting alternatives, through weighing security and tradition, and the specific developmental needs of a boy being prepared for an extraordinary role. They made a considered and loving parental decision and then said nothing about it publicly. Because silence on your child's education is what actual protection of children looks like from the inside. Charlotte is 11. Louis is 8. Their parents are present with them in ways that never produce press releases, never anchor brand campaigns, never arrive calibrated to a product launch. The contrast with what is unfolding in California does not require editorializing. It speaks with complete and devastating clarity entirely through the facts. Levin's view of Camilla's position is direct and unambiguous. No path exists for Meghan's re-entry into that world, and the reason has nothing to do with personal hostility or individual cruelty. It has everything to do with a clear-eyed institutional assessment of what actually happened when Meghan was inside that world, and what would inevitably happen again if the same people and the same patterns were reintroduced into the same environment. The disruption was real. The leaks were real. The television interviews were real. The systematic public dismantling of private family conversations was real. None of it has been forgotten, and none of it has been forgiven to a depth sufficient to support any genuine reconstruction of trust. You cannot rebuild trust with people who are still consistently demonstrating the precise behaviors that destroyed it. That is not harsh judgment. That is simply how trust functions in practice. Charles carries the specific and personal weight of a father who has in any meaningful practical sense lost his son, not to chance or circumstance or tragedy, but to a sustained sequence of deliberate choices that Harry has made and continues to make. That grief deserves genuine acknowledgement because it is real, but grief does not alter practical reality. Harry, as he currently exists, as the person the past several years have produced, is not someone the institution can responsibly welcome back into its functioning center. The window for the warm, uncomplicated reconciliation, the one announced with a genuine family photograph and a brief optimistic statement, has been closed for longer than the reconciliation narrative reporters have been crediting. Levin's contrast between the partnerships, Catherine has helped make William so much better. She has helped him learn what it means to be a father and a husband. If you want a partner, you need someone who helps you grow in your life, not someone who moans about everything all the time. Cuts deeper than relationship commentary. She is naming a fundamental structural incompatibility between what Harry needed to become the person he had the genuine potential to be and what he actually received. William had a partner who made him more capable, more grounded, more present. Harry had a partner who redirected every resource, every relationship, every institutional connection, every dimension of his identity toward a different project entirely, a project that has left him visibly diminished. Lilibet will search her own name online, not in years, but in months. She is 5 now. Children navigate the internet with speed and autonomy that adults consistently underestimate. And what she will find when she does will not be the version her mother assembled. Not the warm captions, not the soft light, not the curated glimpses of a beautiful, protected childhood. She will find the AI allegations, the copy comparisons to little olives, the global debate about whether the face in her own birthday photographs belongs to her. She will find her brother's systematic disappearance from her family's public story. She will find Levin's assessments, Froehlich's investigations, the Hello magazine admission, the warehouse inventory, the minor influencer who proved more convincing in her mother's own branded content than her mother was. When she finds all of it, and she will find all of it, the question that matters most is whether she will feel protected, whether she will look at the full accumulation of choices her mother made and believe those choices were made with her genuine well-being at their center, or whether she will feel something more complicated and more painful than that, something no brand narrative and no retroactive reframing can reach or fix. Archie will be 16, Lilibet will be 15. They will have complete access to everything documented about their childhood, with one critical distinction from their parents. The narrative of their early years was constructed by someone else, without their participation, before they had either the age or the understanding to have any perspective on it at all. The gap between the story Meghan has told and the reality now emerging through the work of people like Angela Levin is the thing this entire moment ultimately reveals. The story was always protection, authenticity, freedom, family, a brave and considered choice to build a better life on honest terms. The reality looks like commercial pressure disguised as personal conviction, a brand in distress reaching for its most powerful asset every time the numbers disappoint. A man of genuine former warmth being progressively replaced by someone his oldest and most invested observers no longer fully recognize. 2 children navigating an arrangement they did not choose, differentiated not by love but by commercial return. Angela Levin did not reach these conclusions quickly or without resistance. She spent years giving the benefit of the doubt with genuine sincerity. She sat with Harry with real good faith. She wrote his story with real care. The directness that has emerged in her recent public statements is not the directness of someone who wanted this outcome and has been waiting for the opportunity to produce it. It is the specific directness of someone who watched something she genuinely hoped for be dismantled methodically over years until she no longer had any language left that adequately described what she was looking at, except the plainest and most honest language she had available. Truth of this specific kind rarely arrives with drama or announcement. It arrives in the quiet, specific, well-sourced observations of people who were close enough to actually know, and who have finally calculated that the cost of staying silent has become larger than the cost of speaking clearly. Angela Levin has made that calculation, and the conversation she has opened will not close simply because the people most implicated in it would find its closure convenient.